Hi guys, and welcome to All About the Philippines. Today's topic is how to build a strong relationship with a Filipina. So for you guys who may be considering dating a Filipina or already in a relationship with a Filipina, thinking of marrying a Filipina, then this video is going to come in handy for you. I'm going to give you my top 5 tips based on my own experience. So I've been with a Filipina for 5 years and married for 4 years. So all these tips will come about from my own experience and what I believe are very valuable tips to maintaining and building a very strong relationship with your Filipina. Now, some people might say, oh well, it's the same in any country, but to a degree it is. But there's also some things with cultural differences and the way a Filipina may view certain things in her life that wouldn't happen with someone from your own country. So I'm going to give you my 5 tips now. Don't forget, before we get into it, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already and turn the notification bell on. If you've got any comments, put them down below, and of course share the video around. So here we go, guys. Now my first tip is understanding family values. So in the Philippines, they have very strong family ties. I find more so than what we have here in Australia, and I believe more than most Western countries. Their values are very old-fashioned, what we would call old-fashioned, and they hold their family in very high regard and they look out for each other very much. So when you bring your Filipina, for example, away from her family to your country, if that's what happens, then you have to be aware that she's probably feeling some sort of responsibility to her family back home, especially her parents. So she may want to send money home. Now, it depends on how much, of course, but you guys would need to work out between each other how much you can afford to send home. Of course, you don't want to sending home every cent that you've got, because then you can't afford to live in your country. And a lot of Filipinos don't actually understand how expensive it is to live in, a Western country like the USA, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, all those places. So it's about sitting down and talking about how much you can afford. But if you want to have a successful long-term relationship, don't stop her from sending money home. She may be working in your country, and that's fine. If she wants to send money home, encourage her to do so. But again, I stress, only to the amount that you could afford, which you both agree on. There may be on occasions when family may need money for something. It could be things like study, maybe you're going to help put them through a course at university. It could be just a general thing that's come up. Might need their motorbike to earn money, and maybe something's gone wrong with a motorbike, they need to get a new tyre, or something in the engine's blown up or whatever, and you may feel the need to help them out. There's requests that come in, and you need to filter those requests and decide which ones are you're going to help with, because obviously you can't help with everything unless you're very well off, of course. So really understanding the family values and the ties they have to each other now is important. When she comes to your country, she obviously will miss her family because they've been so close for all her life. So having an understanding of how she's missing her family and being patient and caring and with her in that difficult time while she's making that transition is very, very important. So leading on from that is that Filipinas can be very, very sensitive women, and it's all part of their makeup. Any country, women can be sensitive, but I find Filipinas are even a bit more sensitive, and at times they can be a little bit drama-filled, if you like. So understanding that when you are with a Filipina, when you're dating a Filipina, that this is part of the deal. This is who they are. You can't go changing them. If you wanted a Western woman, for example, you would go and get a Western woman. Part of the charm of the Filipinas that people look for is things like they are more sensitive, but that comes in other areas as well. When they're, as I say, they get a bit drama charged at times, and you just have to be aware of that and learn a way to deal with that and to manage that, so you're not hurting her feelings as well. So the next tip is communication. So around communication, remember, English is most likely not her first language. Her first language obviously will be like Tagalog or Visayan or one of those many languages throughout the Philippines. It won't likely be English. She may have an understanding of English, but it still won't be her first language. So when she comes to your country, you need to be very patient with her while she's still learning the language of that country. And not just the language, but also how to interpret what you're saying. Sometimes they can speak the language, but they don't really understand the interpretation of what people are saying. And it takes some time to be able to grasp that. So you imagine going to her country in the Philippines and how much struggle you would have when you're trying to learn the language. You may know a few words here and there, but when you're trying to learn the language and interpret exactly the meaning for everything, it can be very challenging, of course, and it's no different when she comes to your country. So have a lot of patience around that. So the next tip, and this is a big one, is allow her to be independent. So if she comes to your country, she needs to be independent, an independent woman. I see many men try and control their women, especially foreign men. They try and control their Filipinas. They don't allow them to get a license, for example. They don't allow them to work as many hours as they would like. They don't allow them to go out with their friends when they want. They have to be with them every minute of the day if they go shopping, wherever. They become controlling, and the woman doesn't become independent. Really important for her happiness to also be independent. Remember, guys, when you're in a relationship, if you're married or dating or whatever, you don't own her. She still has her life and you have your life. And then you have your life together. So allow her to have that independence, because then she will feel really worthwhile. It will build her self-esteem. It will build her confidence. And which is really important. If she's come to your country, she needs all the confidence she can get to keep going forward in that country and to flourish in that country. And that's only going to benefit you and your relationship with your beautiful Filipina wife or girlfriend or whatever the case may be. And a lot of these tips I'm giving you, by the way, also if you're in the long distance relationship, still in separate countries, these still apply. You still need to apply all these things. So understanding the family values, that the Filipinas are sensitive and care. The communication's still an important thing when you're in a long distance relationship, even more so probably. And the independence. Don't expect her to be waiting on your every word and waiting by the computer for you to be calling in on her. Allow her to be out with her friends and doing normal things that she would be doing every day. Because, as I say, that's going to help you in your relationship. And my final tip is affection. Now, remember, Filipinas in nature, and this is what I've found, are very, very affectionate people. They like to show that their man, that they care about them and they look after them. And that's not just at home. When they're out in public, they may like to have a bit of a cuddle or hold hands when walking along. Those are very important things to the Filipina, to make her feel secure, especially if she's in your country. You've got to make her feel more secure, and that's holding her hand as you're walking along as a way of letting you know, I've got you, I'm looking out for you. And I remember when I first went to the Philippines, when my wife, who was then my girlfriend, we would be walking around, she'd hold my hand, and that made me feel very secure in a foreign country. So guys, that's my 5 tips. I'd like to hear if you've got any tips, put them in the comments below. Of course, if you're new to the channel, great to have you here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. And of course, if you know anyone who might use this video, share it around in your networks. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care and bye for now.